Welcome back to the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. This is the Smackdown Lowdown review show from from this morning's, in this case in the UK. Smackdown getting very close now to Bad Blood. We are literally just a few short hours away from Bad Blood 2024. But Smackdown comes from Nashville, Tennessee this week and started with the return of the phenomenal AJ Styles. Come out, how he missed everybody, and he wants to kind of reset himself on SmackDown, and actually was interrupted initially by Carmelo Hayes. And, he wanted to talk about himself more than let AJ talk about him. And actually giving some advice to Carmelo, that AJ had faced LA Knight at WrestleMania and basically bigging up LA Knight a little bit, although he even said, we're not friends. But I've been there with LA Knight, and we had a match at WrestleMania. To which Carmelo basically said, I don't even need your advice, AJ. I don't take advice from quitters. AJ was kind of like, fair enough. Yeah. But you really think that you're that good and you'd like to be a US champion right now? And Carmelo Hayes was like, well, if you're the phenomenal one, wouldn't you? Which is interesting. And funny enough, LA Knight did come out and interrupt these two guys and kind of agreeing with AJ that we're not friends, but I did wrestle him at WrestleMania, gave him his props, etc., etc. And basically, to get a referee out here and to have a match between AJ Styles and Carmelo Hayes. And that did happen, and we'll get to that very, very shortly. However, there was a vignette that aired. And the vignette that aired after this was hinting at the SmackDown debut of Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, the Motor City Machine Guns. There was a vignette. It was about someone being chased in a car, two people being chased in the car, Motor City, Detroit. That's how that's how it was left. And it's just coming soon. Seemingly now plans have changed for the Motor City Machine Guns. We honestly thought that they would be debuting this past Tuesday in Chicago at NXT. However, it now seems as if they're being gone straight to the main roster, which leads me to believe that perhaps, and only perhaps, they was expecting Ray Fenix to be released from his contract, and then maybe was expecting Penta, El Celemiero, to join them sooner. But because AEW extended the time onto Ray Fenix's contract, that is basically throwing that out now for quite some time. Perhaps the plan is to elevate the Machine Guns, who, to be fair, I mean, they are main roster caliber wrestlers anyway. I mean, it's not as if they're new to the game or haven't been around the block. Alex Shelley's been in NXT before with Kushida. Chris Sabin hasn't been in WWE before, but and I really think that the fact that they hadn't got Penta El Celemiero, the fact that they haven't got Ray Fenix in when they maybe wouldn't have been right now, but it would have been uh, maybe in a couple of months, 6 months or so's time, that they were going to save that spot. And that spot has now become available due to AEW extending time on Ray Fenix's contract. And that said, the Moxie Machine Guns seemingly on their way to SmackDown. Now, what does that mean for Ray Fenix and Penta El Could mean anything. Could just mean that plans had changed anyway. We don't know if creative plans had changed or not, but I have a feeling that perhaps they have. Nevertheless, Machine Guns heading to the WWE. Exciting times to have Moxie Machine Guns in to hopefully revamp a tag division that, although his main event in SmackDown here tonight, the triple threat ladder match, the tag division as a whole, since the Usos, the New Day, even the Hardys, you could say, has been lacking a little bit. And to have a team like the Guns, the Machine Guns, coming in will elevate that tag division, give it a bit of, stature and quality. So good luck to them. Hopefully we'll see them very, very soon on SmackDown. Going back, AJ Styles, Carmelo Hayes had a really good match, actually. Partway through the match, though, he did go for AJ Styles went for a flip off the outside into the inside, landing on his ankle, and looking like he's injured the ankle. Later on in the match, AJ starts favoring the ankle, and in the end, the actual ref called the match off with AJ and this ankle injury. Now, is this a storyline injury? Is this a legitimate injury? We don't actually know, to be honest with you. There has been videos. What I would say about it is there has been enough videos that the WWE have sort of put on their socials that would indicate perhaps it's a storyline injury. Because usually when wrestlers get injured, legitimately injured, like so we'll talk about Braun Strowman in a minute. Something happened on Raw that we need to discuss. But usually when there is a real injury or not a kayfabe or a legitimate injury to a wrestler, they don't show them on crutches. They just they'll go to the back, they'll get seen to, and you may get an update later on, but you don't necessarily see videos of them and such and such. And what we've seen at the moment is videos of we've seen videos of AJ in the trainer's room. We've seen videos of AJ on crutches. Now, it doesn't mean to say it's not a legitimate injury in WWE. They ain't just using it. But I always think in these situations that perhaps, just perhaps, it is a storyline injury to AJ Styles. But the reality is we don't know yet. We still don't know. And hopefully it is a storyline injury and it's not a real injury or a legitimate, not saying the word real, but a legitimate injury to AJ Styles because he's literally only just come back. So for him to come back and then pick up a legitimate injury to his ankle would be really bad luck. As I said, I'm hoping it is just a storyline injury, but nothing as of yet. No news as of yet. There was a vignette that aired with Cody Rhodes, Roman Reigns hyping the match at Bad Blood. What I didn't get a sense of on SmackDown this week, and I feel it's good to say it now, I didn't really think there was massive build to Bad Blood. Bailey and Nia Jax aside, the vignette between Cody and Roman, that's all well and good, but I just felt that considering the pay-per-view is tonight, and this was a go home for SmackDown, this was their go home show. I don't think enough build was put into the fact that Bad Blood is tonight, and they enhanced a little bit. The vignette from Roman and Cody was good, don't get me wrong, but it was focusing more on Roman and Cody than it actually was the match. And to me, that kind of I don't like that. And to be honest, as it was the go home, I would have, there was no Kevin Owens, no Randy Orton, no Cody Rhodes, no Roman Reigns. None of them appeared properly on SmackDown this week. So SmackDown was really weak in terms of the power, the star power on the show. Just be it the matches were great. We'll get into the next match in a minute, actually, and that was a fun match. But it felt weak considering there's a pay-per-view tonight or a PLE or whatever you want to call it tonight. I felt that the show was really didn't do enough really for me to, I'm watching, of course, I'm watching a pay-per-view anyway. It's kind of irrelevant, but you would expect more build, expect more hype, expect something to happen. Now, the main event was the triple threat ladder match, and you could have at least perhaps have done something after that match, which they didn't. So, yeah, very weak for me. Not enough on the storyline build for me, and more. It just felt like a generic episode, a good episode of SmackDown. Don't get me wrong, but just generic. And before we do get on to the next match, I did mention another injury that potentially occurred on Raw. It would appear that Braun Strowman has tore his groin in the last Monster Stand-In match on Raw. I hope not. I hope that's not the case. Hopefully, he'll get tested and it's not a tear, but bad times for Braun again, and he has had that serious injury come back. And WWE had just started putting momentum back behind him with the stuff with Bronson Reed, which was fabulous. But unfortunately, it's seemingly that he has got a bad injury, and if it is a torn groin, he's going to miss some time. Unfortunately, let's hope again. Let's hope him and AJ's are not serious, and that they are back on our screens very, very soon. And we'll no doubt we'll find out for sure. Let's get back on with the matches, shall we? Because this match was a bundle of fun. It was the dumpster match. Chelsea Green, Mi Chin, It had a bit of everything in this. This was great. Yeah, tables, trash cans, everything. Piper Niven gets involved in this as well. You had a lot of fun on this match, and you know what? Chelsea Green is very, very undervalued, not undervalued, underrated. She's brilliant. Her character is a bit more of a jokey character, so you don't get to see perhaps the serious side of Chelsea Green, but she is brilliant and she's working this character fantastically well. But yeah, there was multiple trash bags. There was, I think she even done, I think Chelsea Green even done a coast to coast at one point with the chair, with the bin under Michin's face. It was great. It was brilliant, brilliant, brilliant match. And Michin for me, I said this last week. Mi Chin for me is, I believe should be one of the maybe when they create the secondary titles for the women, the Intercontinental Championship, maybe the women's IC, the women's US. If that is something that's coming, Mi Chin should absolutely be in that picture. I think she is tremendously talented. Chelsea Green as well. Listen, nothing against Chelsea Green. If they put the title on her at some point, there's no complaints from me. She has also got it. But for me, Mi Chin is an epitome of hard work. She's got so much um, potential there, and it's just a case of letting it out. And this match itself, the bundle of fun that it was, in the end, Mi Chin power bombs Chelsea Green through the table into the dumpster and shuts the lids for the victory. But for me, both of these women deserve their flowers. I really, really hope WWE create those secondary women's championships because there is so much potential to unlock. Ivy Niles, another one on Raw that could benefit from it. Cara James, Mi Chin, Chelsea Green, Natty, if they want a bit of prestige. You could even put it on like a Charlotte Flair and have a big, big name win the secondary title, to begin with, and then feed it off onto the likes of Mi Chin and Chelsea Green and people like that. As I said, Alexa Bliss is coming back soon. Nikki Cross even has so much potential there. And yeah, I really think it will benefit the women's division having these secondary titles, and I really hope the WWE do seriously do it. Maybe back end of this year, early next year. But it's fundamentally important that WWE do that. I believe anyway for the women. I think it will be a great thing. And there is an argument that too many titles and all of that stuff. I get that, but the women's division needs it, crying out for it. And the good thing about it is it'll put more women on our TV as well, which is, the girls showcased here brilliantly in this match. And there's so much talent in this women division that we're just not seeing. NXT have got the women's North American title, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, I think women's mid-card championships are absolutely needed. Fundamentally needed in WWE, and it would give them an opportunity to showcase the brilliant talent that they've got. And this match just showcased it absolutely. Even though it was a comedy match, it was a comedy hardcore match, for want of a better phrase, but it showcased the talents, and they've got so much of it there. And it's the title, that secondary, to give them an option to have US, the IC, the US, I think is fundamentally needed. But Michin gets the win in a really fun match, and goes backstage at this point, and Bianca Belair and Jade Cargill are trying to hype up Naomi ahead of her match with Tiffany Stratton. And she will actually be joining Bianca and Jade as host of Bad Blood. Bailey tells Naomi she'll be the first one to get a title shot when she beats Nia Jax for the Women's Championship. Don't quite think that's going to happen, to be quite honest with you. But nevertheless, Bailey to give her the title shot would be nice. Naomi, yeah, I said this the other day on Raw. I feel as if she's been put in such a bad spot. Returning at the Royal Rumble, no real plans for her at the moment. There was talk of the blood. There was talk of even putting her in the bloodline, which I think needs a woman. To be fair, I think it does. Not maybe not so much now, but back then could have done with a Nia Jax or a Naomi, someone with that. Naomi's got that. Not necessarily she's bloodline through blood, but she's bloodline through her boyfriend. Her husband, and that would have worked. Nia through blood, excuse me, being related obviously to the family. But anyway, Bailey, Tiffany, and Nia Jax actually had a segment after this, hyping up their match, and this was really the only match at Bad Blood that got any hype. The Cody and Roman vignette was great, was fine, but in terms of actual physically on the show, so to speak. And this was just pretty much the usual back and forth stuff that you would imagine the women doing. Bailey saying she's going to win the title, Nia Jax says she's going to retain. But again, there was a teased cash in, and there was also bits where, you know, there was also a bit where Bailey was teasing a little bit, and Tiffany was like, "What? They're saying you saying I'm not good enough? Are you saying the only reason why I could beat Nia is because of the briefcase? I don't need the briefcase to beat Nia." So there is that tension in the ranks, which I thought was fabulous, about this again. And there was an opportunity. And then when Nia, sorry, so before that, when Nia questioned that, she was like, "Oh, I mean, why would I ever think of doing something like that?" But Bailey just makes me so angry. And then, funny enough, she called Bailey Pam, which is Bailey's legitimate first name. Why don't, and she did also say, "Why don't you bow down to the Queen," being Nia Jax. You want me to bow down to Nia? She was like, and in the end, Tiffany did try to attack Bailey with the briefcase, but she did drop Bailey, ended up dropping her with a running knee. Um, Bailey then attacks Nia with the Money in the Bank briefcase and hit a running knee strike. She poses with the Women's Championship, which generally means she's going to lose the title. But for me, that generally means, sorry, that Nia will retain. If the other guy poses, the other person, so poses with the title, generally means you're not going to win it. I think Nia is going to win, but I do think Tiffany is finally going to cash in on the Money in the Bank briefcase and take that title. And I think the pop is going to be awesome. The teases, every little thing they've done on this, where she's kind of teased it. Nia sort of like, what's going on? She did do it again this week, and there was a bit more. And you're just like, when it happens, the building's going to explode. And I think what's happening is Nia's going to win the match. Tiffany's going to come out. The crowd are going to be like, "Oh my God, she's going to do it." Tiffany's going to pose with Nia, hug Nia, make it all okay. And then bang, she's going to hit her with the Money in the Bank briefcase. She's going to absolutely knock her senseless, hit the prettiest moonsault ever, and win the championship. That's how I see it. And the crowd are going to go crazy. That's my view anyway. We'll see what happens on Bad Blood in just a few short hours' time from Atlanta, Georgia. Go backstage, and A-Town Down Under, Pretty Deadly, Los Garza, and Nick Aldis all have poked fun at Chelsea Green as she walks past the backstage area. But Aldis did tell him that he will speak to Carmelo Hayes after he gets an update on AJ Styles. We go back into the ring for another women's match, Naomi and Tiffany Stratton. Naomi actually picked up the victory on this to win the match with the Rolling Crucifix on this. And yeah, Naomi picking up the victory. Again, she needs it. I said this before with Naomi, and I've just already mentioned it a little while ago as well. A debut being at the Rumble, or return being at the Rumble, was always a tough spot because the plans are already kind of Mania plans are already in place. You don't really get, unless you do something, as I said before, unless you come in at the Royal Rumble and you do something, to get involved in a particular storyline, you're not being involved at WrestleMania. But she's been kind of on the periphery of stuff, but not quite there since, she got the victory this week on Tiffany Stratton, which was good. And actually after that, Nia Jax was basically saying to Tiffany Stratton, "Look, concentrate on Liv Morgan. Like, concentrate on her. Go for her title. Don't worry about mine." And Tiffany makes a promise that she'll never cash in on her queen. I'm not so sure about that, as I've already mentioned. But yeah, listen, another good women's match. Again, the talent is there for these women. I just think a secondary title, and I will keep on saying that we need a secondary title for the women, because we do. We absolutely do. My opinion, anyway. Already main event time. Wow, what a match this was. The triple threat ladder match for the tag team championships, the Gorillas of Destiny, DIY Street Profits. I mean, look, let's be real before we even get here. The Bloodline was never going to lose this match. The Gorillas of Destiny was never going to lose this match before a pay-per-view. You have to book the Bloodline strong. I know it's not Solo and Jacob Fatu in this particular match. But the fact is, if the Bloodline were to go into the match at Bad Blood off the back of the part of the Bloodline losing the tag team championships, it just destroys momentum. It makes them look weak. Even though it was a ladder match, they didn't have to get pinned or submitted to lose. bottom line is it was never going to, happen. They were never going to lose. They were never going to lose it. And I think that, yeah, it would have been a mistake for them losing the match anyway. But it was still a great ladder match. I mean, they were still doing crazy stuff in this match. I mean, BFAB got involved as well. She stopped Tama Tonga from using the steel chair, and it was brilliant. And the match itself was absolutely great. A fantastic main event for SmackDown this week. Thoroughly, thoroughly enjoyable. But Loa, Sen Gargano, and Ford crashing through ladders in the opposite corner of the ring to allow him to pick up the victory. And they celebrated with the rest of the bloodline for SmackDown to go off the air. My point being at this point, and this is what I was saying about build to Bad Blood, the ending of the show, in my opinion, should have been this, but perhaps Cody or Randy or Kevin or a combination of them attacking the Gorillas of Dynasty, maybe Crossroads and an RKO, or maybe something more, because they've kind of like stopped this Kevin Owens thing with Cody that was picking up momentum. It's kind of stopped. Now, has it stopped for a reason? I mean, has it stopped because something's going to happen at Bad Blood, which is going to continue it? We have also heard from Cody, who was on Pat McAfee's show, that there's going to be a video that airs during Bad Blood that's going to set up a title match for Saudi Arabia. So interesting times ahead there. Who is it? There was also rumor that the big man's coming back, and Cody said, which one? So there's, Brock Lesnar's been added back to the WWE roster. Is he going to come back for another shot with Cody? Is there going to be The Rock? Is something going on with The Rock? Is what is happening there with that? There's a lot of stuff there. So there has been a little bit, but that wasn't even on SmackDown. That was on the Pat McAfee show on whatever the Pat McAfee show is, or whatever that's on. So yeah, not for me, not enough going into Bad Blood. A real lack really of hype for Bad Blood, barring Tiffany, be it Bailey and Nia, not a lot else. Disappointing. The actual show itself was fine, great show, but limited to no build up to Bad Blood for me, not enough. But thoroughly enjoyed the matches. Thoroughly enjoyed what was on SmackDown. And on the last bit before we finish off the show, rumor has it that Elimination Chamber is coming to England next year. The final stop before WrestleMania, we could see the Elimination Chamber in the good old United Kingdom, which I would be absolutely over the moon with if true. We'll have to wait and see if that happens. I hope it does. But guys, look, we're just a few short hours away from Bad Blood, so we'll be back and reviewing that tomorrow. We'll be back with Gary Joe tomorrow to do an AEW review. Big thanks to Vince Russo yesterday. Some real interesting comments from Vince Russo yesterday. So get ready to check that out when that drops next week. Mr. Tesh come along and done our top 10 this week. That was brilliant. I look forward to hopefully working with him again more in the future. Eric, we're sitting down next week with Eric Bischoff, so you'll get that in a couple of weeks. Get ready for that as well. Psycho Boy Fodder's coming on as well. Layla's coming on in a few weeks. Lots of stuff going on in the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. Be sure to check us out at HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast on Instagram. Also in UK fans, if you haven't got your tickets to Ignite Wrestling Pro Curtain Call 3, first and second rows are extremely limited for November the 25th show, featuring the Turnbuckle title being defended in an unusual tag team match. True Lacey versus CPF. If any member of CPF pins any member of True and Lacey, they win the Turnbuckle Championship. And also on top of that, apologies if you just heard some outside noise. That is my Ring doorbell. And lastly, Tommy Kyle defends the Ignite Championship against the Vulture, Spike Trebay. But you've been watching the Smackdown Lowdown on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast with me, the front man, Adam Cousins. Enjoy Bad Blood. We'll be back to review it tomorrow. Make sure you're with us too. Buckle down, stay safe, and goodbye.